Okay, so the content in this video, it's going to be really duh. See, my entire existence in Singapore right now for like 2 years plus before I move back, it's to get people to critically think and develop their critical thinking skills. But I do know that out there are certain individuals that just cannot live without my advice per se. So I will just give you my rating today. Okay, not really my rating per se, but more of like classification. Yeah. So the way it works is actually pretty simple. I'm just going to divide an empty canvas into two, and then there is a trunk section, and then there is a feeder section. There is nothing in between. It's either a trunk or a feeder. And all express services, I would put them under trunk. Now for the feeder express services, I'm going to have to like actually think about it because I am not very familiar with them. So the entire idea of this actually came from him, so thank you. So what SG Buses said was basically, uh, it would be better if we actually abolish like the whole trunk feeder classification designation thingy. Once again, designation in case some people do not understand what I mean. Not destination, I did not mispronounce it, designation. And then what he mentioned about having to, I mean, why it's good to do away with it is that it'll really, like, if you set like all these arbitrary town boundaries, I mean, the boundaries are there, but it's like, if you actually set boundaries for route planning and then your boundaries actually turn out inefficient and it actually impedes the progress of routes and how they have or don't have potential to change over time, like extending a route, especially, like, in other words, basic, oh my god, ah in other words, basically, um you want to extend the bus service, not a lot, you just want to extend it a little bit, but you are being restricted by the town boundaries, which affects the feeder classification. And yes, I have done videos talking about that subtly before, but this video is basically not really to talk about or rig these boundaries or discuss how efficient these boundaries could be changed. I mean, how these boundaries could be changed so that they become more efficient and they do not impede planning. So this video isn't about that. This video is about more of like, why not we actually reclassify these bus services so that, I mean, the most likely outcome is just status quo, right? So basically, LTA still wants a trunk or a feeder designation, and we cannot change that. But what we can do is basically change SIT designations. Like, we're not doing away with the whole trunk slash feeder slash express thingy, which I'm gonna group the express services as trunk as well, just so that it's more easily understood. Because seriously, like, whether you want to charge express fares or not, it's currently it's a little bit inconsistent the way it's like being classified. But honestly, like, in the whole grand scheme of things, we should just do away with express fares. And but the whole thing is that, like, whether a bus service is express or not is determined by either SBS, SMRT, or even LTA, depending on which era the service was created. Stuff like that. Okay, where was I? So LTA is probably not going to change anything. They still want trunk and feeder, and the video's aim is basically to reclassify which services are trunk slash express, depending, regardless of whether you want services to even charge express fare in the first place. I will just put them as trunk. So again, this video is about whether a service rightfully should be a trunk service or a feeder service, and no in between. Yeah, so that's about it. So let's get started. here's the thing, because I'm not talking about like boundaries at all, right? Service 4 actually functions like a feeder, in essence. And I know it's like industrial. Okay, I know in the previous video I kind of like fumbled with the whole industrial thingy, right? But honestly, if you really wanted to reclassify everything, yeah, I'll just put it like this. And I would classify 11 as a feeder as well because it links one MRT line to another MRT line and then to another MRT line as well. I mean, this is supposed to be brown, but whatever. It literally links like, okay, it's not the most accurate. I apologize for that, but it just looks like a feeder. So yeah, that's the reason why I classified it like that. And then the rest of them is like pretty much self-explanatory. I don't even have to like explain them much. Keep in mind that feeders are actually allowed to serve more than one interchange. It's just that by nature they are supposed to loop. Uh, Hold on. Do I want to make service 20 of... No, 20 is way too long to be a feeder. So that's that. Okay. The rest of them are honestly very, very self-explanatory. I'm really... Oh, I am so tempted because I put service 4 here. So, and this one happens to loop as well. Okay, fine. I'll be generous and I'll put 29 under feeder. Because this thing, like, okay, the reason why I didn't put 19 as a feeder is because it's literally a straight line service. But this thing actually winds and serves area, so I would put this under feeder. And then now there's the entire dilemma of like 35. But 35, since it does pretty much the same thing as 19, I'll put it under here. Yeah, this list is gonna be very inconsistent. And by distance, I have to put this as a feeder as well. It's so weird, right? Like, you have 265, but 265, 268, they are feeders. But 37 by distance is somehow a trunk, right? So, yeah, I mean, this is just how I would classify it. And, yeah. 41 again, it doesn't really serve any residential estates, right? I mean, this whole feeder thingy, it's not, I'm not saying, oh, it has to serve like residential estates, right? Since 268 technically serves residential and 261 technically serves, 268 technically serves industrial and 261 serves industrial as well, right? So yeah. But 41 just doesn't look like, a feeder to me. Wait, should I just put both of them here? Like, does it even make sense if I put these here? It just doesn't look like it. I don't know what to do. But 42, this one definitely has to be. I'm still confused as to why this thing is not a feeder. It's probably because of like the entire M1, M2, M3, M4 numbering. And then when they renumber, they didn't renumber them to feeders. They just renumber them to like normal trunk services because they didn't want to. It's the fair thingy, honestly. At this point. I keep forgetting 44 isn't an express bus service, but yeah. And of course, this thing just acts like a feeder. I'm gonna put this under feeder. And obviously, yeah, you can take a moment. Then I'll erase everything and then I'll just continue. La 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 la. It's like erasing a digital whiteboard. I mean, the rest of these are like pretty much... Service 3 is way too long to be considered an actual feeder service. But since 60 is like short enough, I will put 60 under here. Here's the 66 dilemma as well, but you know what? Am I a hypocrite if I put all these services as feeders, but I do not put 41 and 66 as feeders, right? Because 66, this thing literally, I just feel like this thing looks more like a trunk than an actual feeder. The same thing goes for like 41. And then again, I might be a hypocrite. You know what? Since 69 loops, right, I will put this thing as a feeder. Because this thing, again, distance-wise, it is so hard to like justify this as a trunk. Like, why is it that 268 is so long, but it's still a feeder, and this bus service somehow is a trunk? So yes, this is just how I reclassify things. 71, again, it's way too long. It looks more like a trunk anyway. Oh my god. 73. Okay, trunk. If 66 is a trunk, 73 will be a trunk as well. I do understand that this thing has feeder characteristics, but again, I don't know. How do I even classify stuff sometimes? Okay, these two, nope. I hesitated a little bit there. Okay. Reclassify this one, reclassify. This includes green and white plate, by the way. Okay, this. I would put 90 and 94 here. But the thing is, both of them, they are... Oh my god. Feeders typically loop, right? I think I'm gonna give these exceptions. And I'm probably gonna be a hypocrite about this. This one by right is supposed to, yeah, it's like, am I a hypocrite for doing this? Because this is from Topayo, whereas there is actually some justification as to this thing like being a feeder service. But what do you guys think? I mean, all of these, like, you kind of get it, right? 98. You see, since 49 is here, there's this one controversial one. This and this. So I think I will just leave this controversial one here. Okay. Now time to erase everything. La 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 la. Oops. I don't want to erase the middle one. Sorry, the middle line separating both of them. Both of these groups. Where did I even stop at again? 99, 100, 101, it kind of looks like 1. I mean, it's just an extension of 328, so... I am not putting 102 as a feeder because this thing serves Seletar Airport, so nope. Just nope. I mean, 70 and 107, they include the M as well, so nothing much to say about the... Oh shit, sorry. Okay, so by right, okay. 116, again, based on these examples, I think it deserves to be 1. 119 is too long to be a feeder service. You see, these are pretty... Actually, you know what? I'll put all of them as feeders. Because they just look like feeder services. And then here's another controversial one. Okay, not really controversial, but since this thing, the route, and this thing's route is like kind of different, right? Okay, I'll put this thing as a feeder. I will actually allow this. Like, the parent service is a trunk, but the modified service is a feeder. I will allow this. Okay, is this controversial? I mean, I want to put this here as well. Okay, this service doesn't exist anymore. Yada 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 yada. Alright, my feeder section is full. Time to start a new one. Because 134 is like so short. Oh, okay, 138. Oh no, 138. No, 138 will lose money if I put it as a feeder. So no. Again, this is pretty hypocritical, but again, yeah, okay, no. This one is a feeder, this one is not. This one has to be a feeder. This one, this one. I keep mistaking 142 for like an actual feeder sometimes, so that's the reason why. This this one deserves to be one. This one also deserves to be one. Oh wait, sorry, this doesn't exist anymore. This one deserves to be one. And then the rest is like this, 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 this. The current 162, I will put it here. It doesn't even look like a the current route just doesn't even it doesn't even look like a trunk. Okay, this. Okay, consistency between this and this, right? Okay, this thing. Also because I think 171 has like extension potential. Okay, now there's like the 173 is way too windy and way too long to be a trunk because 73 I kept it where is 73? Okay, I deleted 73. 73 I kept it as a trunk, so 173 I'll keep it as a trunk as well. 177 it has no reason to be a feeder, so yeah. Now 179 I know this would make it lose money, but whatever. I don't care. I would reclassify. But then again, this thing is gonna extend to Tengah, so nah. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, here's the thing. If 181 loops inside Tengah, I would put this as a feeder. But if 181 becomes bidirectional, I would put it as a trunk. So by default, I'm gonna put this as a trunk for now, given the extension potential. Whoops. Where's my eraser? Okay. We'll just keep this in mind for now. Okay, I'm gonna shift 181 to the so that you guys, yeah. What am I doing? No, okay. 18 is a trunk for sure, but I'm talking about 181. I just need a like. Alright. I still don't understand how people see 184 as a feeder. It's a straight line service. It's not even a, yeah. I am so tempted. I know it's two planning zones, but again, ignoring the planning zones. I'll treat them as non-existent. Even if they're somewhat existent, right? It's fine. I'll rig the boundaries and I'll keep giving exceptions to them. La 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 la. Yes. I will put this one under feeder. I will even put this one under feeder. Actually, you know what? Might as well, right? Assuming this thing doesn't extend, might as well. Okay, I forgot to include this as well. Oh, I want to put this as well. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna change everything over here. Two three zero is not extendable because it is a loop service. That being said, though, this thing if you want to merge it with another trunk to like Thompson Road, go ahead, just rig the fare stages, I guess, or do something similar, like the equivalent of actually rigging the fare stages. So yeah, I mean I talked about that before. So right now it looks like as if I'm going to fill up this page. So I think I have to write a little smaller, I guess. Okay, so pretty much every single drum, I will put this under feeder, and honestly, you know what? Let's just be consistent and reclassify every single one of the GIS services as feeder service, because they just look like feeder services, right? It's just that they are industrial, but you know what? Since they used to charge like non-aircon fare, then might as well just make these feeders, right? I would actually put 258 as a feeder because it functions like a feeder anyway. I mean, it's not classified as a feeder right now, but it functions like one. Like actually. Not some bullshit definition, but actually. Now, when it comes to this is where you actually need to rig the boundaries a little bit. If the boundaries are actually important to you. This thing has extension, like I told you, industrial part it with Ang Mo Kio Industrial 2. What's that road's name again? Ang Mo Kio Industrial Park 2 or something. Shift this bus stop here, and then it becomes easily extendable because the hub spoke bus stops are still being kept, right? So this one has extension potential. Okay, and then everything else is just like, yeah. All up 292, 291, 293, they have to stay as feeder services. So did I miss out any? Yeah. Okay. Because you know why. Okay, sidetrack a bit. Currently, right, 116, not my own classification, but currently, this thing is a trunk and this thing is a feeder service. But here's the thing, like, I've told people many times that for them, a fast turnaround is actually much better than making these services bidirectional for no reason. Like, their loop actually is important. Because the past few videos have always been focused on, like, extending feeder services, right? Like in the case of this thing. But the thing is, extension is only possible when your looping point is not like 116 or 300. If your looping point serves a purpose, you cannot extend it. If your looping point doesn't have really any purpose other than to make it a fake bidirectional service, like it's just a loop, right? Then yes, it will have extension potential naturally. Okay, I'm not talking about like 273. 273, yes, there is a quote unquote roundabout or a horseshoe thingy, doesn't matter. But 272, that's right, 273 at Telok Blangah Heights, you cannot change the way it loops there, regardless of whether you see it as a roundabout or a horseshoe or you see it as like a loop, doesn't matter. But that kind of like loop cannot be broken at all costs. So again, when you want to extend feeder services and still call them feeders, right? You need to only extend the extendable ones and not the non-extendable ones. This is also why, depending on how far you extend 301, again, if you extend 301, you would probably have to be like this is Kiat Hong Close, right? So like basically you would have to do something along the lines of like, if passengers are transferring from this bus stop to this bus stop, you do it like 856 style kind of. Wait, not really 856. It's you do it 386 style kind of. One bus stop is for one direction and then you extend like this. And you have also have, okay, this is basically to compensate the people going here, which means like going here. Now you just transfer. You have to ensure that like if packs tap out from either one of these bus stops and then tap in at either one of these bus stops, you have to ensure that like 301 it's coded in such a way that you will not get penalized for being for you will not get penalized for transferring. That's my point. And this is the only way how 301 currently is able to extend southwards. Yeah, that's the point of it. Keep in mind that 301 is now designed like this because people weren't happy that when they initially announced the 300G and W thingy, people were pissed off that their connections, their direct connections, were actually being cut off, and the transfers between bus services just became more inconvenient. So yeah, that's the reason why 301 is the way it is now. But is there extension potential? Yes, but you have to do it properly. You have to do it like 386 style, kind of. And again, depending on how far you extend this thing, it can be either a trunk or a feeder. But realistically speaking, 301 should be here. Okay, I'm gonna erase again. Okay. Uh, what's the next one? Okay, it's these. This one again. Yes, you can, but you cannot extend it too far. But I would still put this as a feeder. Then there are the rest as well. If you somehow want to extend 333 to Tengah, let's say you make it so that Jurong East Street 32 is now by the, it doesn't really matter because right now there's already 872 looping at Jurong East Street 32 right now, right? So if you want to somehow make 333 bidirectional at Jurong East Street 32 and then you send 333 into Tengah, okay, this one I will accept it if you do away with the boundaries. This one cannot be extended because you need the hub spoke from Jurong West Avenue 1 into Street 42. That's the reason why you cannot break 334. Again, because of the road configuration there, it's unlike 333. 334, I mean, there is this side and then there is this side. You know why? Because 49 only does this. 49 does not cover this entire stretch. It's different. So this is the reason why 334 cannot be converted to a bidirectional, so like bidirectional along Street 42. No, it's not possible. This one is possible, but in the case of this one, because of the different road configuration, no, this isn't possible to be extended. This one has to stay as it is. You want to run high capacity buses during peak hours only, go ahead. But this thing cannot be extended. For real. Okay, now there's this. This one is another one that has like extension potential. Again, right? I'm not saying you have to do this, but if you somehow want to link these two together, then it has to be a trunk already. If it's just like a mere extension of this and a mere extension of this without actually merging them both, then okay, it's okay. This can still be a feeder, this can still be a feeder. Because when I brought up the idea about merging this with this, my viewers actually disagreed. And in the past, like I think years ago, there was once I actually floated the idea of this, and then this, and then 966 connectivity from Marceline gets cut off. I forgot who was the one who suggested this. But then this one, it'll do a lot more harm than good. And the expressway congestion would basically affect this bus service. So again, it's not like I never asked people. I asked people, they disagree with it. So, and I'm honestly glad that they disagree with it now that I look back at it. And okay, and it's the same thing for these. Or whatever other new feeder that's going to be in Pongo in the future, if there even is in the first place. Okay, by right, because of the how short it is, yes. Now 401, you look at how big the loop is. It doesn't even look like a feeder service, so I'm gonna put it as a trunk. Obviously 402 would be here, but now 402 is gone. 403, again, the reason why it's not a feeder is because it used to have the parks designation, the parks branding thingy. But when it was removed, they didn't convert it into a feeder, they just converted it into a trunk, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, 405 should be here as well, because it's so short. This one is actually quite long, so no, the route doesn't even look like a feeder route at all. Okay, so, and likewise, these two would be feeders. Express, oh sorry, express, 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 express. Then as for all the Yishun feeders, yeah, you pretty much get the idea that every single one of them is supposed to be here. Okay, when I say this, I mean 811, 812. Yeah, you get it. I'm not gonna erase. And then here's a very, very, very obvious one. I think when I first talked about the overview of this video, you guys also pretty much have thought about this in your head, right? You guys thought about this. Another feed, and I mean another trunk. I would actually throw this here, because like service 4, I made a feeder, right? For Flora residents, I made this thing of I would have made this thing a feeder. 860 is a tricky one. It loops at Yishun, but then again, the sector along Upper Thompson Road, Sabang Road, Upper Thompson Road is way too long for me to actually consider this as a feeder service. So I'm sorry. But then again, it pretty much does like a similar role as 807, right? Right? So if 807 is here, you know what? Never mind. Since 807 is a feeder, you could make adjustments to 860's route within Yishun East anyway, so I'll keep it here. 861, it will be bi-directional in future, like when it extends to Chencharu. So I really want to grant exceptions for this one, because it really does the job of a feeder service. Like it just does it, right? So yeah. And then I actually even want to reclassify. Okay, sorry. 870. Oh my god, 870. It depends on how far this thing actually extends. You know what? I'll put this thing here. I'll put this thing here as well, because they just look like feeder services. This even looks like a feeder service. Every single Tengah service pretty much acts like a feeder anyway. Even though it's not, they are not like actually classified as feeders, they actually act like feeders. And then yes, I'll put this thing here, I'll put this thing here as well. Even if this thing goes Chencharu in future, I don't know. I haven't heard anything, but yeah. Okay, and then pretty much everything else in Woodlands, I'll put it under feeder. 925, I'll put it here. 920, 922. 926, 927. Again, I'm sorry, it's the zoo, so okay. 941, 945, 947. Then okay, I'm gonna finish the trunk routes soon. 950, 960, 961, 962. I will put it here because it's just a feeder that's like really, really, really long, just that it's not classified as one. This kind of like is the same concept as 268 when you think about it. 268 and 962, they really share similarities to each other. So yeah. Then there's this one. I even want to put it. If I put the JIS into as feeder service, that feeder services, I would put it here as well. No, no. 967. 967 has extension potential to wherever it goes. Depending on the distance, you could classify as this or you could classify as this. Right now, it's pretty much a feeder service, like except that like due to logistics reason, due to like the internal grouping of services. Like in the case of 84 is 80, no, not 84. Why even mention 84 in the first place was because internally this thing is considered like Pongo feeder group, but this thing is a standalone service. Wait, did I get this correct? But yeah, okay, yeah, that's why I even talked about it. But again, status quo feeder, it's due to like some logistics reasoning, classification of services reasoning as well. They wanted to split 967 with the other feeder services because this thing starts at like Woodlands temporary interchange, the open air one. But again, this thing depends on its future. The classification, like how I would classify it, really depends on its future route extensions, if any. So I'll just leave it as it is. I don't want to rate 967 because I don't really even have any concrete information that 967 is really gonna get extended. So yeah. No. 973 is basically just 921 but extended. So yes, I will put this here. Rightfully. 976 also, again, rightfully. Trans Island Bus Services 179 would be in a similar category as 976 as well, so I will put it here. And to be fair as well, 979 should be put here as well. 9809, okay. 981, too short. 983 I would even put here as well because it's literally just Choa Chu Kang and Bukit Panjang MRT, and that's pretty much it. 982, 984, again, it's a winding trunk like service tree. So nope. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Okay, this one I will put it under feeder. 991. This one just looks like 73 and 173, so I will put it here. 992 on the other hand, and whatever nonsense this was, I will put it here. So okay, this thing and then the rejected bus service. 994. 993, it looks like a feeder anyway, so yeah. This is how I would classify them. Okay, I forgot about the X services. I cannot even remember how many X services there are. Because that's how stupid I am. Yeah, I can memorize bus routes, but I forget like everything else. How many feeder expresses there are right now? You know what? This okay. One of them uses the expressway. I'm sorry, if it uses the expressway, right? Okay, I'm gonna make it a trunk. Again, sorry about it. Did I cover everything? Cause how many like express feeder services are there actually? I know that there are still some more that got rejected, by the way. But again, if I were to just like rate them, then okay, this one is here, this one is here, this one is here, and then this thing would be here as well. Imagine feeder services actually charging trunk routes because they are like quote unquote express. The fare structure is like so confusing, but yeah. Again, the only reason why I split this is because you want to extend this, I actually welcome it. Like, you want to extend this thing beyond Beauty World, like, let's say, the Turf Club or wherever. You want to make this thing its own service, but peak hours only, then I'm like, okay, fine, you just go ahead. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my crappy rankings or my double standards rankings in the comments down below. Thank you. Bye.